Hey, what is happening, Herpers? Welcome back to another video. This week we are going to be picking up pretty much where we left off last week. As you saw in last week's video, I completely redid Bojangles' habitat, and now we're going to see how he likes the habitat while his mouse finishes defrosting and we give him his first meal in his new home. Now, I don't think Bojangles has ever refused a meal. I think every single time I have offered him prey, and I do feed him frozen thawed, so if live feeding is a turnoff, don't worry, that is not what this channel is about. But anyway, nonetheless, I want to give him just a little bit of time to get settled inside of his enclosure, kind of get the lay of the land, learn where things are before I go throwing a mouse in his face. And perhaps as a second motivator for me waiting a minute before feeding him right away, I did just have him by the tail, I had my hands on him, and I don't exactly want him associating the experience of me holding him with him biting something and getting a tasty mouse, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, reptiles are a lot smarter than people tend to give them credit for. I'm actually working on target training my pet Tegu L to associate a red dot from a laser with being fed, so I can have a laser-trained pet dinosaur I can stick on people. Nobody particular in mind. But that was also in last week's video if you missed seeing Bojangles the rattlesnake's habitat get remade. So if seeing me literally try to train my dragon and renovate a rattlesnake's enclosure sounds interesting to you, then that was last week's video. And with that, it looks like Bojangles is reasonably settled in his home, so I'm going to get on with this week's video and offer him his first meal back home. So Bojangles ended up settling on the cool side of his enclosure. Interestingly enough, the hide that he settled under was also his favorite hide before the remodel, so I don't know if it was a scent thing that he preferred this hide over the other hides, or if he just preferred to sit on the cool side of his enclosure today, but either way, we just saw him flash his fangs while stretching his jaw, so I think he is ready to eat, so I won't keep him waiting any longer, and here we go. If you don't want to see a snake eat, this is the time to look away. But I do have a warmed up frozen thawed rodent ready for him. You can see he is queuing in on it, flicking his tongue faster and faster, picking up the smell of the rodent, and he's also picking up the warmth on the rodent. But it doesn't take an expert. Oh, I was gonna say to see that the strike is coming, but there it went. Boy, for having a mouthful of mouse, he sure looks and sounds pretty grumpy. But that could just be the resting snake face. It's kind of hard to tell. He is wagging his tail back and forth. I know we tend to interpret that different with rattlesnakes, but with dogs it's a good thing, so maybe he's happy. Look. Tell me that doesn't look like a happy rattlesnake. A freshly cleaned habitat, a warm meal, a water bowl to go mess up. What more could a rattlesnake want? Side note, let me know in the comments if you think that if dogs, like rattlesnakes, made noise when they rattled their tail, maybe the same exact noise as a rattlesnake's rattle when a dog wagged its tail, would we still think it's cute? Or would it just take on the terrifying reputation that a rattlesnake's rattle has today, regardless of how floppy the dog's ears are? Well, it looks like Bojangles has some decisions to make here. He has set his mouse down and he's just kind of sniffing around it. I think he's realizing he's in a new environment. Biting the mouse was an easy question. Yeah, he knew he wanted to do that. But now that he has acquired the mouse, you can see him more carefully taking his time to probably check his surroundings and make sure that nothing is going to come for him once he starts this meal and his fangs and mouth are occupied for the foreseeable future. It's a very vulnerable position for rattlesnakes, or really any snake, when they start a meal. And being in a freshly renovated habitat is bound to set him on edge just a little bit, which is part of why I gave him some time to settle before feeding him. But now you can see he has decided he is going to eat this mouse, so he's just trying to pick his strategy. And now we're back at the frequent part of these episodes where I wonder how snakes are able to survive in the wild with how picky they are. Look at him smelling the dirt. It looks like he's going to take a big mouthful of dirt here. And good, he thought better of it. So let's just sit back here and see how long this takes him. Oh, and I think he's going for the bite. And, oh man, he dragged it right through that coconut fiber. And I was a little worried about this. I did use up more of the chunky bedding than I planned on in my boa and tegu's enclosures. And you can see now that some of this loose coconut fiber bedding is giving him a little bit of trouble. I hate when this happens. I feel so bad. And wait, no, it looks like he's going to turn that little bit of trouble into a lot of trouble. He's just smelling where the mouse was, wanting to take up another bite of dirt. So I think I'm going to try to sneak that mouse out of there past him, rinse it off so it doesn't have all that bedding on it, and then I'm going to try to get him to eat on one of his rocks in there. If that doesn't work, I might need to start just removing him from his habitat. Before this feeding, I did wet down his bedding, which is usually a good way to stop so much of the bedding from sticking to a wet prey item. If the bedding's already a little damp, it doesn't stick as much. But then he took so long from the time that he initially struck the food to trying to eat it, that a lot of his bedding had dried out and was just perfectly primed to stick to this mouse. So here we are. I got his attention for a second, and then I lost it again. But here we are. I'm going to try to get him to strike the mouse again and hopefully eat right here on the rock. That way he doesn't have to deal with getting a nasty mouth full of bedding. And whoa, you genuinely missed that if you blinked, so here it is again in slow motion. Again, Bojangles using his signature move of striking past his mouse. He doesn't have the best aim, but he always hits it on the backswing. And I already don't like where he is sitting with that mouse, but let's see if he has any better luck with eating it this go-round. And he let go. Alright, third time's the charm. Come back over on the rock, Bojangles. Here we are. No, he's leaving the entire enclosure. No, I need you to eat the mouse in the enclosure. I promise I didn't take it from you. And there he goes. He has found it. He's slowly sniffing around. No, Bojangles, that's the rock. Don't eat the rock. Oh, alright, he's onto it. He has realized that the mouse is not the rock. The mouse is on the rock. I spoke too soon. Here we go. He is on the right track again. Come on, you can do it. Yes! Way to go. And no. And drags it right back onto the cocoa earth. And it does look like he is a little bit more intent on just eating it this time, cocoa earth and all. Actually, the way he just dragged that right back onto the rock after getting it covered in cocoa earth makes it look like he was just seasoning it. I know that's not the case, but regardless, he is starting to eat, so I'm going to let him finish this meal. Now, this could be a problem if every single one of his meals was this covered in coconut earth, but in reality, this happening once or twice, or even getting a little bit of substrate with each meal, is not an emergency. If you think about it, in the wild, they consume some substrate, or just not substrate, but whatever the earth is around them with their meals. I'm not saying that is a good thing. I think as keepers, we should definitely aim higher than what the standards of wildlife are in, well, the wild. With that being said, eating a little substrate once in a while is not the end of the world. But this was a good first feeding in his new reworked enclosure. No, it didn't go exactly as planned, but I am happy he ate, and I've made some notes for how I can change the habitat to make his next feeding a little bit easier, and depending on how that goes, I might just opt to start removing him from his enclosure for feedings. Both of these options come with pros and cons, but they are both valid options, so let me know in the comments what you think I should do for his next feeding, what you would do for your reptiles feeding. Ultimately, I am not an expert, just a guy sharing my reptile keeping experiences with you, and I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you would like to share more reptile keeping experiences with me, from caring for rattlesnakes and tegus to looking for wild reptiles in the desert, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and tap that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads, because YouTube hates to show my long form videos to anybody, which makes all of you here at the end of this long form video all the more meaningful to me. It really means a lot, so thank you for watching, and thank you to all of my patrons who make it possible for me to keep creating these videos as frequently as I do. So starting with my head herpers, thank you, Allie Ward, Amanda Lynn, Jane Cabin Girl, JCH, Lindsay Justice, Loki and Thor, Sierra Sicard, Tiffany H, and I am very excited to welcome my newest patron to the highest tier of supporting this channel. Welcome to the Head Herpers, Travis Lawson. And of course, thank you to all of my patrons at the other tiers. Those are the other beautiful names you see scrolling up your screen now, the members of my helpful herpers and, of course, my Herpin Hippies that make this channel possible. And if you would like to join them in helping me keep these videos coming, you can do so for as little as $3 a month to, again, help me keep these videos coming and get your name in the end credits of every full video just like this. So one more time, thank you again to all of my patrons, past, present, and future. Your support means the world to me. And with that, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. I hope none of you have to eat a meal covered in substrate, but most of all, I hope that you just keep herping.